Gonna have to stay where he's at right now because we gotta cool off. Gonna have to stay there. We gotta cool off. Usually, when I run two projectors in this environment, it gets hot in here really, really fast. First things first, my name is Kenneth Bird. My company is ILEG, Infusion Light Energy Gain and Technology Screens, and this is my 73-inch 1610, because that's the aspect ratio I have it in, not in the aspect ratio in landscape and portrait projection screen, and it's using our screen paint technology under the ILE Quantum Black Star. And as you can see, it looks absolutely incredible. I'm using a projector, which I put the question mark there, and my projector is a Christie LW400. I paid only 50 bucks for the projector. It's a 720p projector, WXGA, and got it used off eBay, which you get a lot of my stuff used off eBay anyway. Over on this section over here is my ultra short throw display, and that is using my NEC projector. I forgot the model number. I'll write it down in the description what the model number is, but that's the NEC. NEC is definitely going to need a lamp replacement because I'm not getting flickering, but it's dull, and it's telling me right there when your lamp is kind of dull, which I'm looking at right now, means that the lamp is in the process of going out. So that's got to be replaced. If I didn't done that, yes, this is my screen. My screen is absolutely huge. I like the portrait screens I've always have. First time I've seen people have those on their PC. I wanted one for myself, but I didn't want to pay the money for the screen that reverses and turns and all that stuff. I just basically wanted a much bigger one than the ones they were showing off. That's where we have this technology here. Now, this is fantastic because this technology will allow me to be able to use my projector in a fully lit environment if I choose, because I have those options to be able to do that. And we can pick up our contrast levels, colors, all that good stuff from the door. We also have I loaded it on our Facebook page, not on our YouTube channel. The movie company who's showing off the night and day scene on our black screen paint, which is on our Christie site, which is supposed to be the ILE site, which I haven't switched over yet. I'm still got to go back and figure out what's going on, but it's posted over there. With them doing a test run on the paint, and yeah, it came out real nice, so I'm happy with it. They have more demonstrations showing posting, and we're going to get credits for it, which is pretty cool. Guy's a pretty nice guy, so he's always that repeating customer. He's ordered from us before, that's why he went out and ordered again. We have it over here, and I posted it to my Facebook page over here. Let me see. I'm loving that portrait. I gotta send him pictures. He wants pictures of the tiles, videos, all that stuff, because he's definitely purchasing tiles from us. He wants to introduce it into the movie business. And now this was the paint that was supposed to come out so dark it's unwatchable. Remember, by that YouTuber who came out and made those false statements, which he's been doing it for quite some time. This is why we'll be going to the court pretty soon about this problem we've been having with this individual. That's me in the office, or somebody's office, doing the demonstration. Refresh my page. And there he is right there. So that's the fellow who basically, well, one of the guys who bought the paint, and oops, sorry about that. We're going to do a test run on it. There we go. And there's the nighttime. What they wanted to use it for. So, pretty cool. Like I said, it's the same thing we have over here on our wall right now. And they got more videos going to be showing off. I had some demonstrations of, like, on that screen, fish, because it's a huge, massive screen. And they give me some fish, snow levels, stuff like that. Guys, real cool. He said he'll send me some more pictures and videos down. But anyway, yeah, same thing we have here. Same technology we have here. So, individual who did that nonsense at the end of the day, who went out and delivery, we know you have a history of doing this. Who I'm talking to about the problems we've been having with this individual and the way he's been carrying on toward our company. You're looking at receiving 30 years for each one of those times you went in and made these false accusations. That's 30, or we got to roughly count it down to how many different attempts of fraud that he's committed against our company. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. On top of, like I said, we'll be doing this in the courtroom anyway. So we'll be in the courtroom regardless of the customer, which I thank him so much, but also too for the simple fact that he's going to paint the screen in the courtroom, and he has to claim that he's in a lot of trouble. Let's put it that way. For each account, it's 30 years because of the extensive problems we've been having from this guy, especially with these copyrights. Yeah, he's looking at whatever we add, whatever the courts bring up. It's going to show that he's a constant repeat offender. He's constantly been attacking our company. We have massive amounts of evidence on him. As I said before, he's going to spend the rest of the remaining life he has on this earth in the prison system. That's where he's going. A lot of time in jail. But anyway, getting back to what we're doing at the end of the day, because I don't have to worry about that ever. Because again, I've already, did what I had to do and was blessed to be out here to do what I'm doing now. But, unfortunately for him, the rest of his life, and the remaining time he has on this earth, he's set in the prison system. The 28th, I have to file criminal charges and a lawsuit about this mess over here, about the quantum technology. So we'll have a process server there soon. Get that all taken care of and tidied up. I want to get as much as I can done before the control number behind me activates, and I have to contact them also today to see exactly where my case is at and to see how long they've gone. And I need also information because we need to submit more documents, especially on the copyright infringement. I had to file 2 different cases with the CCB. I got docket numbers from there. They had to get them to update the charges to let them know that he has also 2 copyright infringement charges that were filed against him, and also to the fact that we had to have a process server come to his front door. So we have to get that taken care of too. So that's basically about it. But I'm going to show off what I have here and enjoy what I got to do today by just updating on that. Got the guy over here. Thank you so much. And I got some more stuff that's going to be showing up. This guy has something like 1 million followers. Jeebus Louise. It's crazy. But anyway, this is unbelievable that this guy, like I said, threatened. It's seriously extremely threatened by our products. Every time we launch something, we have documented that if we launch a 7, we've gone to his channel, we've documented everything he said about the 7s, everything he said about the 8s, everything he said about the 12s. We have a history, everything was documented. So whatever he deletes, we got copies of it. We can show the courts that every time we post something, he comes along, he commits fraud, like he just did with the quantum, and he just did with the quasar. All that was documented. So it just shows you've been doing it from this long, and you still continue to do it from here. So again, like I said, we're asking for 30 years for each count of fraud against our company. That's what we're requesting from a judge. He's just nothing but trouble, and he needs to be put away. All right, so I'm getting back to my phone over here. So 73-inch screen we have here. I'm going to have to go get me a new lamp because, man, I can see the difference between this and that. You can't see it, but yeah, that is super dim and this is super bright. So I can tell from the door. I'm definitely going to have to go in and get a new lamp for that. These are cheap. That's the good thing about it. They are cheap. Let them out. Let me get some. Going to get a test on that. To make sure that light lamp was doing exactly what I thought it was doing. And it was definitely, I was like, wait a minute, this thing was much brighter than this when I got it, like super, super bright. What's going on with it? I'm looking at it, and I turn the other one on. I go, oh yeah, I see it now. Lamp's dimming. When the lamp dims, the two things the lamp will tell you when it's about to go. It'll flicker, and the other one is dimming. Your lamp starts to dim. So my screen, like I said, it is roughly, I'm actually in menu right now because I'm actually updating something here. Changing out some stuff in my menu. All the cool stuff they have in here. I keep forgetting all the cool stuff they have in here. Upgrading my taskbar. Copy links, all that. Some devices. Alright, I'm pretty cool on, but wait, did I get all that in there for the taskbar? I got printing, I can print. Forward. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, bum, bum. Paint, all that's in there. Transfer, okay, translator. Alright, bum, 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 bum. Make sure I got everything in here that I want before I copy links. I don't need copy links yet. This is for my gaming PC. I don't need to do much with it. But I do want to update, so I'm going to update the other one next. Alright, I should be good. What do I have for my, oh, there we go, that's what I have. That's my new, because I couldn't get portrait mode. I couldn't find portrait mode for Jack, and they don't have them, so I had to download my own pictures into here. I'm use anything from Steampunk from here. Oh man, why didn't I get something from freaking pictures from freaking oh, BioShock. I definitely want some BioShock pictures for my setup. Let me see. What we got? That is the gravitation mode. Weather. That thing is so sharp, man. I swear, I love this screen so much. This black technology, this new screen paint we got, is so sharp. You know, I had this troll in the room over in Facebook. We do live chats in there. And the troll was like, oh, your activation window, go to settings, is showing. Oh, you can see that. That means the screen's not dark. If you just read that right there, you can see that print right there at the bottom. Your screen's not dark then. That means it's picking up. And he got mad and left the room. Idiots. That's why I left it there. I didn't activate it. I think I would know how to activate my Windows at the end of the day. I'll put install operating systems at the end of the day. I don't think that would be an issue. I left it there on purpose for the simple fact that basically they comment on that. They come and go, oh, oh, you can see that. Oh, that means basically you can see the screen. Dummies. That's so easy. My goodness. Oh my goodness. You don't see this right over here? Like, gee whiz, at the end of the day, the stuff that I build on a regular basis at the end of the day. Let me explain something to some people to understand. That it doesn't make a difference what parts are in there. You got to know what parts to put in there to put the thing together. And you got to know how to run all the software, drivers, updates, repairs, all that stuff to run those systems in there. You have to make sure that all that stuff marries together nicely, because you can have driver confliction, which means drivers don't play together nicely and parts don't work anymore. So you got to know how to troubleshoot your stuff at the end of the day, or you're going to have problems like how to override the motherboard if you try to upgrade your fans on your liquid cooling system to a higher RPMs. So it's regular stock fans that come with, they're usually like 1,500. If you got a cheaper system put in at 54 or 60 bucks, and they usually put in cheaper fans of RPMs, much lower speeds in it. You could upgrade those and take that thing apart and put it back together, which I did on mine. Upgraded mine to 4,000. Each one of those fans is 4,000 RPMs. So right now, sitting on top of my hard drive over there, it's a 4,000 fan at RPM. RPM's at 4,000, which means the stock fans that came with the liquid cooling system were 15. And the problem you have is your motherboard has a voltage requirement, which means you can't stick any fan you want on your motherboard, because it'll shut it down and start it up and shut it down. It'll have all kinds of problems that will be triggering off on the board. You could damage your board. So you have to make sure whatever stock fans or whatever fans you have to meet the voltage of what you have on the motherboard. But if you know what you're doing, you can bypass the motherboard and run it strictly to the power supply. Now, if you're running 4-pin connectors or 3-pin connectors, of course, you're going to get adapters for 3 pins. But if you're running 4 pins, you can go to Molex to 4-pin adapter that has 3 outputs that will allow you to run multiple fans directly to the power supply's Molex adapter, which will override and pass the motherboard, and that will allow you to run any fans you want, regardless of how fast the RPMs may be. Now, did you get that? Now, some people did get it. They did pick up on what I just said. And some people did not understand a thing that just came out of my mouth just a few minutes ago. Because I go through that all the time when I'm in here and I try to explain how these machines are. And they were like, I can't understand what you're saying at the end of the day. So you have to know modifications on how to basically know how to manipulate and upgrade your parts at will. Welcome to the world of PC. Wait till we get to the coding, programming part. Ooh, yeah. But anyway, with that being said, so when you're looking at the parts and you say, I got the guy who came in there and said some dumb statement. He forgot the motherboard. Literally came up, tried to show me some PC specs and put in a 5090 on there. Yeah, you're going to choose the most highest graphic card that there is right now is a 5090. That's what you're going to choose. Like, ooh, you didn't even put in the case specification. So what case are you putting a 5090 in? Because you're not sticking that thing in any case at the end of the day. That's a big freaking card at the end of the day. Where you sticking it in at? There's a whole lot of stuff he left out of there. But he left out the motherboard. How in the world would you leave out the motherboard? It's the main thing that you need to put all the parts to complete the PC. Without the motherboard, parts are completely useless. Yeah, completely forgot about the motherboard. Two things, if someone's talking about a PC, they're going to bring up CPU motherboard. Then the GPU will come later and the rest of the stuff from there. But they're definitely going to add in that motherboard, because that motherboard is how what you're allowed to be able to upgrade your system. It tells you exactly at the end of the day how much RAM you can add in, how big of your graphic cards you be attached to it, your CPU capabilities, all that good stuff at the end of the day. How many fans can you run through it? All the goody stuff. It has, the motherboard has all that, whether it's digital, you got one touch, overclocking capabilities, which MSI digital boards usually have overclocking digital capability. Just press one button and doop, you overclock. Stuff like that. Yeah. He didn't even add in the liquid cooling system. How are you cooling it down? That's a big card at the end of the day. I wouldn't even trust the fans on a 5090. I wouldn't trust the fans on a 4070. And none of them whatsoever. I definitely would be taking that thing apart and putting a liquid cooling system on it. That's an expensive piece of equipment. Definitely, you want to make sure you're insured with a liquid cooling system. How are you running the liquid cooling system? Are you running 2 power supplies at the end of the day? God forbid if you came out and said you had a 2011 server board at the end of the day. How are you running that? That board takes 700 watts of power. Did you know that? A 2011 with a dual i7 setup takes 700 watts of power out of your power supply. Most likely, if your power supply is 700 to 800, you ain't got enough for the card. What just triggered? I have no idea. Oh, I had a timer on which one phone. That's the one thing too. When you have PC stuff all over the place and you hear something go doop, you're like, what the frick was that? But you hope it wasn't your parts. But anyway, yeah. So with that being said, that means that if I'm running a 2011 server board, that means that, by the way, you can't even game off a 2011 server board. At the end of the day, it takes coding modifications in order to get around all that nonsense. And then on top of that, consider the fact, what if you're running a Tesla? You know, Tesla actually had a graphic card. Not the card, literally, they had a graphic card, but it was made for servers. It doesn't have any peripheral outputs, but they're really powerful cards if you ever get one. 24, I think, they're going DDRs or something insane, it's crazy, but they don't have peripheral ports on. They weren't designed for that, and they for gaming. But anyway, with that being said, so again, like if you're even running the 5090 in your system at the end of the day, how are you cooling it down? Because mind you, I like open cases. I like open case PCs. You know why? Because there's air constantly flowing around them 24/7. On top of that, you know, I'm using a refrigeration unit system for my liquid cooling system. On top of that, how are you modifying your liquid cooling system? Like if I'm taking a 5090, there's no way in the world I'm sticking it on a stock, any kind of stock liquid cooling system. Some people just go and forget the AIO and just go completely with the whole entire setup where you're going to have reservoir, you're going to have pumping station and all that other crazy stuff involved with it, where you're building like one of those freaking extreme builds in liquid cooling. And some people use copper piping. I've seen people actually welding copper piping, use actual antifreeze. That's freaking insane. But anyway, pretty cool to watch. You got vegetable oil cooling PC. Dummy came on my channel and go, oh, nobody vegetable oil cools a PC. Oh my goodness, do I have to say it? Do I have to say it on camera? Crack a book. Yeah, crack a book, man. And they were doing vegetable oil cooled PCs before I got into the game. That's how I found out about vegetable oil cooled PCs. And what a lot of people don't realize when you do vegetable oil cooled PCs, but let's get back to this before I jump on this topic real quick. This system right here, if you notice when you buy one of these, they have ports on the opposite side. So you can put 2 sets of fans in there to keep it nice and cool. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is you can modify that. That radiator system can be modified. How can it be modified? Put another set of fans on the bottom. Most people keep the stock fans and they run like 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs at the bottom. But still, you can't run those fans to your motherboard because the voltage difference. It would shut your motherboard down. That'd be an issue. So you still have to override through there. Now, what most people do is you get something called a fan controller. A fan controller will allow you to actually run one fan, have 4 ports for a fan, touchscreen control, and also to speed your fans up, which will also speed up your RPMs. So they put fan speed controllers on there to be able to speed up the RPMs. Even if you're at 4,000 RPMs, that's a lot of freaking power. You have to do that at the beginning anyway if you're basically going to be using vegetable oil cooled PCs, which mind you, the heat has no place to go. Unlike here, he can disperse anywhere you want. But if you're using, without this system right here, if you're using it in a case, you're going to cook your system in the wintertime. Because what's going to happen is the heat that's in your environment is going to transfer right back into your case to a system that's already stressed out already. So all you're doing is just taking heat, blowing heat out of your system, bringing heat that's in the environment back into your system that's already stressed. That's why your system sounds like the Batmobile on your desk. That's why it sounds like that. It's trying to cool the system down, but it's virtually impossible to try to draw air from outside if it's already hot. That's like trying to draw air out of a microwave into a system that's already hot. You get hot air back into the microwave. You know what I'm getting at that. So that's the reason why I only use these units only, because this keeps a refrigeration unit on my CPU at all times. I'm not explaining this to people who don't know. People who don't know, you can learn some stuff. But people at the end of the day that come to my channel at the end of the day and don't know jack about PCs, because I ask them simple questions, they go, duh. Yeah, you guys at the end of the day, I'm talking to you in the room, you know who you are. That give me these fake PC specs on some computer you claim you built. Chances are you probably got a Dell. Let's go farther than that. I think you got them old Apple PCs, the ones that got to sit on top of your desk, got the multi-collars on it that see-through. You got one of those. But anyway, because I got, again, motherboard. How do you forget the motherboard? But anyway, so bottom line is when you're doing a vegetable PC setup, for them who don't know jack about vegetable oil, mineral oil, whatever you're going to use in a day. Some people have even used baby oil. Doesn't make a difference. That when you do that, your heat has no place to go. So that way, next time you get on a forum site and you start talking dumb nonsense, at least you know what you're talking about. And you'll learn from me. So bottom line is, since the heat has nowhere to go, it's just dispersing out into this oil, and the oil is basically trapping it, and that starts to heat up in there, which means you will eventually cook your parts on your PC. That's why when I first started doing liquid cooling, I had a Pentium 4 Hyperthread, and I cooked it because I took all the fans off. The guy who went in and took apart a power supply just to pull the fans out and nearly electrocuted himself, again, stupid. That's the dumbest thing you can do. You don't have to remove the fans. The fans are going to run regardless. What's going to happen is when you put those fans in there, they're going to spin for a little bit, but down through time, they're going to start slowing down, and eventually they will stop. And doesn't affect the power supply or nothing whatsoever. It's still going to run. Do not go into your power supply that you know what you're doing, because again, you don't want to run the risk of getting electrocuted. I go on mine, I do custom paint jobs for my power supply. You ever see my power supplies? Woo! That's my baby over there, custom built. It's got a custom paint rust job on it with all the cables to match with it. I did the paint job myself. But anyway, there's a freezer boy over there. It's a frozen Richmond. It was a pretty easy job to do. But anyway, so I don't go in there messing around with too much. I don't know why he got electrocuted by removing the fans. Like, it's not that hard. You got like a 2-pin connector in there, maybe 3, and just pull it out. You're done. You ever plugged in when I was doing this? I don't know. Anyway, so the heat has no place to go. So bottom line is, the problem you have is, your main thing that's going to heat up on your PC the fastest is going to be the CPU. Because your GPU is going to be dedicated, because it's going to be on a card. So you don't have to worry about that too much heating up. That's going to cause too many problems at all. It's going to stay a nice temperature. Your biggest problem is going to be that That's what's going to heat up your PC at a tremendous rate. And that's why you run a liquid cooling system. Will the liquid cooling system run under vegetable oil? Yeah, I've done dozens of these. They run under vegetable oil perfectly. And this right here, your fans do not stick these in vegetable oil. Do not put the radiator in vegetable oil because this will damage it altogether. But then again, we are doing a study involving the radiator system actually under vegetable oil. But that's kind of a different story. It's kind of an interesting switch around. I can't tell you too much about it. But it does involve basically submerging an M2 solid state drive under vegetable oil and liquid cooling, and why it's under vegetable oil. But we're actually building a form of a copper block system that allows you to drop it into vegetable oil to keep the vegetable oil cool at the same time. You don't want it too cold because it coagulates. It means you got thick jello sitting around there. You really don't want to deal with that crap at the end of the day. But anyway, that's something else I'm working on, later experiment. Anyway, so basically what it does is it keeps everything nice and cool. And if you put your higher RPMs, you basically put in a fan speed controller, you can basically maximize the cooling that basically is generating to your liquid cooling system, which will keep it nice and cool while it's under vegetable oil. And mind you, there's water in there. That water, in no way, the vegetable oil will not seep in and mix with the water. Did it already. Yeah, the Bioshock. I did a Bioshock and did a couple of PCs out of Tupperware. Basically, all set up. And yeah, I was building PCs using Tupperware at one point because it got to a point that I evolved past the case. Once you're a builder and you mod it in a day and you build your own stuff, you evolve past cases. You don't bother with cases anymore. This is why when you go and look at people do them insane builds, these people put PCs and freaking anything at the end of the day. So when people sit there and say, oh, you're putting in the cardboard box, so you must be broke. Yeah, not a box per se. These are a little different at the end of the day. Let me give you a closer look for these naysayers at the end of the day on how we did this. Wow! See that? We used everything. See those containers that we used to have the paint in? We even used them for the motherboard post. I customized my own motherboard post. We got ice cubes on this side. We got the paint containers on this side. We even have them holding up the liquid cooling system. Motherboards painted, all that cool stuff. And since now we got that new high-powered gaming screen, we don't even have to change out our graphic cards. Those 1050s will work just fine on what we got over here because this screen looks absolutely insane. You know it at the end of the day. Anyway, so when people say, you got about 1050, and my 1050s look like on that screen? Oh my goodness. All right, let's get back over here. So then we got all different kind of ports. I like this case. Out of all the cases I've built, these are the best cases I've ever built out of cardboard. They are perfect. I wanted a nice size case. And mind you, I was going to go over to Amazon and spend $70 for these micro cases and built these for free. So we got the motherboard, which is another smaller box that actually pushes into this box over here. So it basically fits nicely. We don't want things not too far out. I got a nice little fan system right here. Keeps my motherboard nice and coolly over there. We got a port here that runs all our power supplies and everything we need to run directly to the motherboard, the ATX, you know what I mean, the 6V or whatever, volt, whatever. Over here, we got a SATA cable right here that runs, whoop, 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 bam, right there. Do we need that there? No, we could have run it through an M2, but I kind of like the whole motherboard hard drive connection at the end of the day. Let's get to the bottom. We got a fan right there. Now, that intake fan right there blows air into the box system, which keeps it nice and cool. Ooh, nice and cool. We got another fan that sits right on top of my hard drive. That thing is actually cooler than your M2 solid state drive right now. It is super frosty. Super frosty, baby. And if you look at my power supply, well, we had to take it apart. So I can put that really cool rust job, glow-in-the-dark pink display on it. So I can basically match my cables and all that stuff. I mean, who's going to buy hard drive covers at the cable covers in the day? You can make your own, and they glow in the dark. Let's pop over here to the Ice Boy. We're going to disconnect for this one. This one's really detailed too. It's actually, I built this thing a couple of times because again, I kept changing it out. I just want to keep making the case smaller, smaller, smaller. Oh yeah, so we got tubes down here that drop my lines from Oh yeah, that's the hookup for the RGB system is actually down there, and the remote control switch is right over there for that right there. Ah, yeah, it's pretty cool. Nice little neat little setup there. Now let's go pop over here to the Ice Boy. I built a couple of these. So this right here is my Ice Boy PC. Nice liquid cooling system. Did my own custom frost job for the pipes and everything. These are the fans that took out at 4,000 RPMs. These are super loud, but I like them. Got a nice light display on them. Got a nice light display down here which pushes air into the case, keeps the case nice and frosty. Customized power supply, which I had to take it apart. And then, by the way, the fans didn't come in blue. I had to paint those myself. Oh, the button system. I did my custom button systems right here. Painter box and ice cube display right here for my button. Is that pretty cool or what? And also too, I frosted all my cables to give it a kind of a frosty ice look to them, because the covers that they had for them, I didn't like them. I needed something more realistic when it came to my whole icebox system. All that glows in the dark, by the way. Isn't that pretty cool? Kabam. Kabam. We even got the open lids on the top where the paint's pouring out. This is what I mean by, at the end of the day, customization. Build it the way you want to build it at the end of the day. That's where I like to do things. Yeah, so when you get to a point where you start modifying your own stuff, you grow past the case. This is the graduation period of modification that you don't need to be on your case anymore. And now, since we have the ultimate gaming piece, well, not really PC, but we're not going to build that. The ultimate gaming screen. If you ever seen that thing before, my goodness, I'm telling you, it makes this freaking 720p combined with the 1050 look absolutely freaking breathtaking. Unfreaking believable. It does. Unfreaking believable. And that's not even the gamer technology. Can you believe it or not? That's just ad tech alone by itself. That's not even the gamer technology. The gamer technology, we engineer that stuff, has 10 times more color. The contrast levels are darker. Produces a super high fluorescent white level. It just looks absolutely insane. It is. I'm telling you. So blow your mind. Blow your freaking mind at the end of the day. So that means that then they would have in that technology under my belt now, I don't have to go and spend the money for high-end graphic cards anymore. I don't need them. Not required at all, period. Like if I want to upgrade and get me a 1060, that's all I'm going to need. So for you naysayers up there say, oh, your graphic cards and your parts are old and outdated. They're outdated, but the bottom line at the end of the day, majority of most PC parts are outdated because, again, not a lot of people have up-to-date parts on their machine to begin with because it's extremely expensive if you're talking about, and you don't know the category requirement of PCs. You have budget builds and you have elitists, and elitists are the ones that have high-end parts. I had a lot of PCs that had high-end parts. It was a very expensive rig to put together, and then the thing about it is all the money I dumped into this machine, I didn't even come close to using half the stuff that I had sitting on the machine to begin with. Who the freak is going to use 256 gigs of RAM? I had a machine that had that, a 2011 server board that had a quad processing system, which means I had 4 12-core processors in this machine at a 2011 server board at 256 gigs of RAM, a PC 3000 OC. All my RAM was overclocked. I could have launched missiles from NASA with that thing. Did I use all that power? No, not even close. Not even close. Majority of most games require 16. And I'm running 256. Yeah, overkill. And the guy was like, what are you doing? You do movies on this thing? Do you do something like, you do tasks? What do you do with this thing? I was like, I just game off. And he's like, that's the dumbest thing I've heard in my entire life. That's overkill. Yeah, he was right. It was overkill. Definitely overkill. I sold it. I gave it to somebody. Then I sold them for a few bills. Then and built something else much more sufficient, because it was just stupid to have all that power on something that I'm definitely just going to be gaming on at the end of the day. Way too much power. But the beautiful thing about PC and what I love about it so much is that we have tons of parts to play with. I can get a RTX 580, and the beautiful thing about it is when you sit there and say, well, you have to pay it a minimum. When we're doing that gaming on, the way those graphics were popping up, that was the minimum. That's what minimum looks on that screen. So now we have a screen technology that will enhance older PC parts and make them look incredible. Not alone old 720p projectors. What does that mean for the PC building community? That means at the end of the day, they don't have to spend the money for high-end parts if they don't have the money. Ta-da! Bum, 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 bum. There you go. Just like in the projector community, my customers don't have to spend the money for high-end projectors. We don't need all that stuff. Not necessary. There we go. There we go. That's the whole thing about it. See right there? There we go. See people sitting there saying that one guy commented, I'm playing on a PS5 and an OLED. That was the funniest thing. What are you, like 5? Seriously, what are you, 5? You're like a guy that comes to lunch and brags about because your wife gave you a Hostess tasty cake. Ooh, look, she gave me a tasty cake. I'm special. That's what you kind of come off as. Again, can't express it enough. Next time y'all come on my channel, have a real YouTube account, you know, because we block fakes from the door. Another one, too, on top of that, is that the guy who says, get some update games. Oh, my goodness. I swear at the end of the day, I swear, they got to have a clubhouse. They got to have a clubhouse. They got to have a special handshake, a sign outside that says no girls allowed. Like, seriously, grow up at the end of the day. First of all, let me explain something to you. A gray screen can't even read retro games. You ever play retro? I play a lot of retro games. I'm a big fan of retro games. I come from an era of retro games, so I love retro. So first things first, basic Pac-Man. Basic Pac-Man can't read off a gray screen. Why? Because the background of Pac-Man is black. Majority of games from the Atari 2600 era basically had black backgrounds to back up. You got Centipede, you got freaking Dig and Dug, you got freaking Space Invader. You get what I'm talking about. They have black backgrounds to them. High neon colors, vector graphics. You can't pick that up on a gray screen. It won't read it at all, period. I'm surprised the arcade machines picked that up in the day because they had gray tubes in those things. But anyway, they can control better, higher contrast than you can do basically in the day because they didn't have to rely on a screen, like a projection screen, in order to pick up the contrast level. Like your projector can have a massive amount of contrast, but it doesn't work unless the screen can help it. So we're having this conversation with the naysayers. We know we're all in the room, aren't you? All in the room? Yes, everybody's attended. Your group, they come in at the end of the time. So I'm explaining this to you. So later on, you can go back to your channel and cry about it, because that's what you're going to do. You're going to leave out of my channel, go back to your channel. You didn't know what he was talking about, and this, that, and the other. I got the equipment right in front of me. How do I not know what I'm talking about? Therefore, you don't at the end of the day, and you cry about it. All right, moving on. At the end of the day, look, break it down. Just get yourself one of them old RCA TVs, you know, the one that if someone breaks in your house, you know, the dormer will never take. And when you move, the rug carpet, it's the same color that it was when you first moved in. Get one of those. Get yourself a Atari. Don't forget, they can use Atari 2600. What could they possibly use today? That you can't even use Pong. Pong had a black background. You can't even use that either. They can't even run Pong. That is really sad. It's one of the first games, literally, besides that tennis game that came out. You can't run Pong. Pong won't even pick up on a gray screen. All right, whatever. We can't find anything for you. Tic-tac. Nah, I can't run tic-tac-toe. Oh, just forget it. Get a board game. Anyway, moving on from there. And he said he had an OLED TV. Oh my goodness. I went through the research on an OLED. I really don't pay TVs anymore. And I haven't had a TV in like 13, 14 years. I can't remember the last time I actually had a TV to watch at the end of the day. Every time I see TV is when I go to somebody else's place. These are monitors I use from time to time. To actually buying a TV to view on, I haven't had one in years. You know why? Because we don't require them. You can see right now we don't require it. Anyway, the OLEDs have so many issues on those screens. It's like Chinaware TV. And it is. It's like China. You know what I mean? You make a mistake, you break it, crack it, whatever. It'd be really easy. It's really fragile. You know. Can't be in there carrying on and acting up. You know, you can crack the screens pretty easy. Some of them at the end of the day, because they lay flat, don't have a lot of airflow, a lot of fans back there. The GPUs burn out. That's why you come home sometimes and the sound will be playing, but you don't on the TV because your GPU burnt out. They have issues where basically at the end of the day, I read some of the forum sites, even forum sites actually wanted to talk to people who actually own these TVs, because I wanted to be 100% sure that it was coming from the horse's mouth for somebody who actually owned it. And this guy had 3 of them already, and he had problems with them. There's pixel burnout issues. Yeah, that whole thing about turning it off and turning it back on abruptly, you can't do that on that screen. They have issues with mirroring everything in the environment, which I watched dozens of times, where if you turn on a TV, you can literally see if it's off, or even if it's on, you can see reflections of windows and lamps and stuff behind it. Glare. There you go, TV glare. The bigger ones at the end of the day have a problem with now viewing coma effect, which means basically when you turn to the side, they go dark. I've had monitors in here do that. They turn dark. I mean, I literally have to shift the monitor a certain way because I can't see it. The light hits it, it'll blind out the monitor. There's all kinds of problems you have with them. On top of that, they're extremely expensive. That's a lot of money to pay for a screen that you can't have any form of HUDs. So when you play Call of Duty, you got a little HUD on the side that tells you how much ammo, weapons, life you have at the end of the day. That literally can burn into your screen. That'd be fantastic watching some movie. You got Call of Duty HUDs burned into your screen. Yeah, they're burned into your screen. That's why I looked into VR glasses. VR glasses that don't use OLED displays because, again, you pause a game or your kids pause a game and you got a permanent burn into your screen. A burn-in. Now I don't know why they didn't do like the plasma TVs, because the plasma TVs had that issue. They used to constantly have burn-ins all the time. And then they put this little screensaver where they move the pixels around constantly, where it basically prevents the burning from triggering it. I don't know why they didn't do it with the OLEDs. I don't know. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. So guess what? Oh, by the way, and speaking on its PS5 at the end of the day, your PS5 is standard. Standard. Yeah, it's going to ruffle some feathers here. You do have standard at PS5. The Pro is the new next gen. You don't have next gen. You know how next gens work, right? You basically, whatever system which has the best parts of anything becomes the next gen. And then the part underneath that becomes the older gen. Like the PS4 is an older gen when the PS5 is standard and the Pro is next gen. So you technically don't have next gen. I already talked about that. The fact that I've never seen a gaming system ever, and I've been around since Vector Graphic and Pong. Yeah, Pong. Tandy Corporation before Radio Shack. I'm 68. Before 1968 is when I was born. I'm 56. So basically, I remember getting game consoles from a Radio Shack when it was called Tandy Corporation before they switched it over to Radio Shack. That shows you how old I am. When our handheld games were Merlin, Simon, and the ColecoVision handheld games, we had little red dots on the screen. I have no idea to this day how we figured that out. But I try to play some of the games today. I'm like, what the freak am I doing? But anyway, you had. I grew up in that era right there. That's my era at the end of the day. So I remember, real quick off topic, where my mother came home with a little tiny box that said Tandy Corporation, that was Pong, that was in there, and we had to plug up to the UHF. In the back you had that whole freaking coaxial cable if you were lucky. If you didn't, you had the whole screw thing in the back. You connected to the UHF in the back. You had to click over to channel 3 or 4. You had that, it would pop on. Ooh, yeah, you had that. I grew up in that era before you had your HDMIs and all that blah at the end of the day. Anyway, good gracious, wow, I've been around for a long time in gaming. I've actually been around for a really super long time in gaming. Imagine if I kept half that stuff. I kept some of that stuff, but not all of it. But anyway, still. So, with that being said, yeah, your system under your PS5 is now standard. It's not a next-gen system. And the reason why your console system, Sony, is in trouble is because the PS4 should not be existing. That thing is 11 years old. It's 11 years old. I have never, ever seen a console system, especially one that's already been surpassed by a more superior system, still be around. Never seen that. Any Xbox fans out there? You remember when the Xbox first came out? You bought that big heavy Xbox. I have one in storage with the giant controller with that big jewel in the front of it. Remember that first one you had? All right then. Now, when the 360 came out, how long did it take them to discontinue the Xbox? It didn't take long. I mean, they ported all the games and everything they needed over there, and then later on, they shut down the servers for the Xbox, pushing those players over to the 360. Did the Xbox last for 11 years after the 360 launch? No. The PS4 lasted for 11 years. You know why the PS4 lasted for 11 years? Because the PS4 actually has a bigger fan base than the PlayStation 5. Yep, it does. You know why? Because they didn't stumble in the launch. Your launch got stumbled because people came in and stockpiled and hoarded your systems, and your systems laid in those warehouses where they had, and it made it virtually impossible to get your hands on it. How long did it take you to get a hold of a PS5? It took almost forever, didn't it? It's like trying to win the lottery. You probably had a better chance to win the lottery than getting your hands on the PS5 system. So because of that, you know what happens in the process? When all those systems are sitting in warehouses waiting to be sold for ridiculous amounts of money, that means the subscription cost isn't being paid for. For each system, there's a subscriber, and each subscriber is a person online to play with. It means to build a massive fan base starts to build on that whole subscription cost. But if those systems are hard to get, that means that the people on the PS4 have a much bigger fan base of gaming online than what you have with the PS5. They have a head start. and they can't cancel the PS4. That's why if I look at my PS4 now, I literally see games that are on your system being made for my system, which shouldn't be. On top of that, the PS4 got an upgrade. I told you, when I went in to look, I was like, wait, something looks weird. This doesn't look the same way. They actually upgraded, did a software update, whatever they did, firmware, whatever went on in there. But those games look absolutely freaking amazing now. So why would you add such a heavy update to a system of a next gen that's it's an older gen that's 11 years old? Because that is your bread and butter. So when you want to put down the PS4 literally is supporting your system at the end of the day. Also, too, which I find also kind of interesting at the end of the day, where does the PS5 stand anyway? If you got the Pro. I mean, you got the PS4 that's needed because it's the backbone of the system. Because, again, it's still around. They're still supporting it. So they must be supporting it for some reason. Heck, I even got an upgrade on mine where now, you know, you can go play it with cloud, you can stream and all that stuff. So why would you even add that in there to begin with? I got the new store on there. You can go buy movies and stuff like that. I mean, you should be discontinuing stuff, not adding stuff to it. So with that being said, they're still supporting that system. And then you have the Pro. Now, not the Pro, but the PlayStation 5. Which, again, you can go in there and see an option to update and optimize your games if you have a PS5 Pro. Which is actually better than than the original one that came out, which now makes that standard. So if the person was bragging about, I got the new up-to-date system, technically you don't. That'd be a Pro. That'd be an up-to-date system. And then the sad thing about the Pro at the end of the day is the fact that you're paying for an overpriced system that's selling their title games, their exclusive games, over the PC and any other console system that would take it. And a lot of people didn't get the big picture around that. So for the naysayers at the end of the day that come at me yelling and screaming, let me explain something to you about exclusives, if you don't know this already. So the exclusives on your system is what basically makes your console. It's like having Halo on Xbox. Now you couldn't play Halo on the PlayStation, right? Because it was exclusively for Xbox. So you big Halo fans, me and myself, basically bought the Xbox system. You know why? Because it had Halo on it. It's exclusive to this game. And every time the Xbox system came out with a new system, it had Halo on it, which never came to the PlayStation at all. And that's the reason why we stayed away from your system, because of Halo. Da-da-da-da. Gears of War, and all that good stuff at the end of the day. And then the PlayStation had games on it that were exclusive at the end of the day that only PlayStation fanboys would go to. Because at the end of the day, you couldn't get that on Xbox. Even if you had both systems, at the end of the day, you could only play the exclusive games that were meant for each system, and that was it. But that's what keeps people from coming back. That's why every time the 360 would burn out, I go buy another one. And I go buy another one. You know why? Because I was on a Halo clan base on there. I was on freaking Gears of War over there. I had certain games I can't play over here, so I kept coming back to it. But if you take the very games that make the bread and butter and foundation of your system and you give it out to third parties, then why the freak would anyone come off a machine like this at the end of the day to go play on your system? That's what Sony sold you at the end of the day. Don't you know corporations lie all the time? I got some email talking about, oh, corporations, they know what they're doing at the end of the day. Oh my goodness, spoken from a true sheep at the end of the day. Bah. Corporations lie every freaking day at the end of the day. They lie about the craziest stuff you would ever think of. The craziest stuff. For you to come in and say it, for that guy coming in and saying that, oh, I would trust the engineers at Sony. Oh, my goodness. You know what? Go ahead, sheep. Go out and go graze on some grass and knock yourself out. For a corporation to sit there and say that the PC gamer is going to leave their rig to come to a console system that has a ton of restrictions sitting on top of it. I can't mod on your system. I get banned if I get mod on your system. Can't modify my parts on your system. I void my warranty. All that other nonsense I got to go through. Bad enough you got ticking time bombs on the freaking PS5. You can't clean those things out. They're overheating every time. If things accumulate too much dust in there, if you're cleaning out the fan and you're seeing that much dust on the fan, think about the other compartments where that dust went to. It doesn't take much to do it. So again, your heat sinks sitting down there are getting choked out due to the dust that's accumulating down there, and you can't open it up, because if you open it up, you void the warranty. So at the end of the day, I can clean my systems out with no problem whatsoever. I can choose my parts. I'm not stuck with whatever parts they give me and then charge me this ridiculous price for these parts. Like the God of War. They put God of War on PC. God of War on PC requires a 20 series graphic card to run it and optimal settings. A 20 series. And you guys have equivalents to a 4070 sitting in your system. So what the freak do you need that for if PC can run it on a 20 series? That means they overprice you for parts. Yeah. And most of the people who did the teardown and ripped down that system at the end of the day, so half the parts weren't even worth what they're charging for. A $500 PC can pretty much beat your system. And your system's not $700, by the way. I don't know why people keep saying $700. You pay tax, right? All right, you pay tax, and it's not $700. It's probably about $760 at the most. $760, $750, depending on where your state is at. Then you're paying that. And then God forbid if you bought the optical drive. If you bought the optical drive on the PS5 Pro, and the PS5, that means you got discs laying around. Kind of hard to pay this disc on a system that doesn't have an optical system attached to it. So that means now you got to go buy the optical drive. So guess what that's going to cost you? $80. With tax, probably roughly like $90 to $100. That jumps that to around now $860 or $50 when you pay for tax. And if you want that stand, which some people want to pay for the stand, that's going to cost you another $40, $30 to $40. Yeah, good luck with all that. You're going to pay $800, almost close to $900 for a system that basically you can't even modify, take apart, or do anything else with it at the end of the day. Only option they give you is a hard drive. That's it. That's too much money. Well, you can't say it's too much money for a console. Not really. Not truthfully. I don't even know. Okay, I gotta stop saying that one at the end of the day. It's not too much money for a console. Because look how much the PS3 cost when it came out. I had a Blu-ray player on it. That was like $800 when it came out. So, no, that wouldn't be the most expensive system. Let me go play in my giant screen. Talking about all this crazy stuff with the console systems. Yeah. The only thing you got access to is a hard drive. That's it. You can't change your CPU out, your GPU out, your RAM. You can't change that. You can't swap out your power supply. You can change your case. You can do that, but it requires modifications to do it. But yeah, no. You didn't change your case. You got different cases you can put on there. But if you want to drop into something else other than a PC case, you can't really do that. It requires modifications. You're getting a liquid cooling for $800 altogether? Seriously, you're going to pay? You're going to have a liquid cooling? Only liquid cooling system you have on there is a 120 millimeter fan? Xbox is in the same boat too. So people say, oh, but you're not saying anything about Xbox. No, Xbox has a lot of problems. It has a lot of problems in the day. It does. There's a lot of problems. All their stuff is actually already on PC. Of course, it's Microsoft, of course. But the problem you have with that is the fact that they basically, when they come out with a portable system, that's a dumb move. That is a dumb move. I'm going to tell you something. One thing I love about playing all those games from history, watching machines up and go here and there and fall apart and this, that, and the other, the downfall of all these gaming systems, the rise and fall of them, and watching all that, being able to watch all that, I automatically can predict how this thing's going to go from the door. And for the console games, at the end of the day, we'll say, oh, you're PC at the day. Man, I got console games at the end of the day you don't even heard of in the day. You ever had FM Marty before? FM Town Marty. You have one? I had one. What about TurboGrafx 16 with box adventure with the CD drive? You had one of them? I even had the stackable Sega. I had the Sega system that came out 1 and 2. One that came with the headsets that was stereo. Then I bought the Sega CD with Surcharge. I had that when it came out. I bought the 32X. I bought that, which again, that was definitely not a good investment. The games really didn't look that much at all, period. It wasn't really much of a difference. I couldn't tell. And it wasn't a big library. It didn't last long, and it fell through. Well, you took a gamble back then when you bought games at the end of the day. You really did. When the TurboGrafx 16 came out, I bought one of them. And man, that thing didn't even last long. It didn't even last. I don't think it even lasted a summer or whatever. But I remember when I bought mine, that when I went back into the store about a month later, the games were dropping like crazy. Like the prices were dropping. And later on, it disappeared. Never to be heard from again. The Game Boy, the Virtual Boy. Oh my goodness. That was a definite disappointment. That was nothing like they advertised. They advertised all these beautiful colors. And VR was kind of big back then. It was big, but it was expensive. Extremely expensive for VR. And to be able to have a pair of VR glasses that you weren't strapped to your head, you're just sticking your face into like a pair of binoculars. But the fact that you could see things in 3D at that particular time was mind-blowing. I bought one of those things. It was all in black and white. Not black, it's black and red. It kind of looked like when the Terminator looks at something, that's what it looked like. Yeah, Terminator vision. It was a bad investment. Panasonic 3DO didn't last long. Philips CDI didn't last long. The reason why their games were popular because they actually had real life kind of cinema playbacks. So yeah, they didn't last long. Then you had the 3DO Gold, Neo Geo Gold, Neo Geo CD-ROM, Neo Geo cartridge. Yeah. What was the other one they had that was pretty interesting too? Yeah, from the Nintendo, I switched to NES, Super NES, I had the GameCube, I had the GameCube Silver, the GameCube Orange, the GameCube Purple. Then they had a gold version that came with Zelda, which was also a gold little casing that came with it. But then they had the gold Zelda that came with the gold cartridge. That was another one they had. It was pretty cool. They had the Pikachu N64. They had the see-through one that came with the green, the purple, the red. I had all that stuff, man. All that stuff. I was lucky and blessed to be able to be financially well off when I was basically buying a lot of that game stuff at the end of the day. The Saturn. Oh, I remember I first bought the Saturn. I bought the Saturn at freaking KB Toy Store. KB Toy Store. KB doesn't exist. You ever remember EB Games? Yeah, that was before GameStop. EB Games. You remember that? Yeah, I had EB Games. I remember that. I had a membership card. It was orange. It was red with kind of a yellowish orange writing. I had played all that stuff already before. I remember when Dreamcast came out, I had the American version and the Japanese version. The Japanese version had an orange box with the white circle Spyro, and then the American had the white box with the red one. Well, the first time I heard voice communications, or I played it with actually on PC, pretty much was the same thing when you played Unreal Tournament or Quake. You had to find some place to hide, to type in your insults to the people you hated in the game, like, yeah, your mother's a goat, and then basically come out, hopefully no one saw you back there typing and kill you in the process. But yeah. But I remember when they had, what was the game called? Alien Front for Dreamcast. It had a microphone system that plugged in the front, and your memory card had a little seafoam colored microphone green in the front, and it worked like a CB system. You had to press down and send off your insults and then lift up, and it would send it like a CB system. And I remember talking to people on playing that game before you had chat rooms on your game system. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Oh, man, been around a long time. We're talking about the era of the Atari 2600. What was it? 52? Was it 5200? It's 5200. Those are the old systems. The ColecoVision, Intellivision. All those systems there. The Atom. Oh, we had an Atom. That thing was huge, man. My mom got it because she was into technology. My mom's a tech junkie. As old as she was into technology. That's how we knew about half that stuff, because she would come over with some crazy stuff like, hey, we got this today. And I was like, oh, shoot, this is a freaking Atom. We had an Atom. An Atom system. That thing was huge. Data tape player, huge matrix printer. They made all that crazy stuff, man, because she was a tech junkie. She was always into technology. I don't know where she got it from. I don't know, but for some reason we was always getting stuff. Radio Shack was like my second home. I was always in Radio Shack, buying parts. I had parts for building your own transition radios, your own CB systems. Oh, I remember my brother climbed up on the roof to install an antenna so we could play on a CB. We got it from Radio Shack. She would always bring home stuff like that. Always. and with its mechanical robot arms, every kind of remote control car you can possibly make. I remember back in the day, you had two types of remote control cars from my Radio Shack. They would tell you exactly how advanced your car is on how different ways you can steer in different directions. So you can steer like multiple directions you have in the high-end cars with a higher frequency. If you had two cars, me and my brother figured out at the end of the day that both of our cars had the same frequency, the car would just stop with it. Because frequency would be jamming it. So we had to play on one side across the street and I had to play on the other side because if our cars crossed, they would stop. That's way, way back when you had that little metal antenna with the little red plastic piece on the top of it. Ah, man. Yeah. Phones, TVs, all that stuff. Choosing all that technology stuff. That's how we got into it. But anyway, getting back to the systems today, well, guess what? Unfortunately, your PS5 has been giving up the exclusive date since 2020, so that's already on a run right there. And for the Xbox system, well, you can just leasing out your games to everybody, and then you're going to come out with a handheld system and say, now you can play your games on a handheld system. But I can play them on my tablet. I can play them on my cell phone. Why would I need to buy a handheld system? Are they still coming with the handheld system? My Xbox is going to still do this thing? Let me see. Xbox handheld system. I'd rather buy a Steam Deck at the end of the day. A Steam Deck, if I'm doing handheld, I'll do a Steam Deck and I'll do Nintendo. Nintendo got a handheld regardless. It's a console and handheld at the same time. Only company at the end of the day that mastered the handheld. They are. Steam's doing pretty good with theirs. Steam's got a lot of games you can't play on console. There are games that come out for Steam that are not for console ever. You'll notice you take the time, go get a guest pass or whatever, set up an account. It's free. It's free. Not paying subscription costs. It's free. Or you have to have this internet. Get a ton of free games in there to play. But anyway, it's free. Free. See, the library of free games is insane. And demos, they have long demos on here. Demos are pretty long. One time I played a couple of demos. I thought I was actually playing the whole game, but no, I was just playing the demo. Jeez. Gives you a lot to do on here. But anyway, it's free on top of that. And on top of that, any points you earn, you can use that for basically for things in the game. So that's freaking cool. You know, if you want to, more for your dashboard, stuff like that, you want to dress it up and put some cool colors in it. Have I done anything to my dashboard? Pretty much, probably no. Which makes me think. Go to my point shop. Have I bought anything for this thing yet since I got it? Let me see. It's my point shop. I can go in there. I got. All right. So let me see. What I got for points on this baby? What do they want for this thing at the end of the day? For 3,000. I can see right there I don't got enough. So I have to buy something to get more points. You need more points to get this team. Oh, I need 454. Okay, I'll just buy something today. I'll get something that's a game I want to buy anyway. You get a lot of points, you buy a game. I've already got to do an experiment, like how cheap I have to buy a game to get a lot of points. So if I buy a game for like maybe like 20 bucks, I get something like 3,000 points. That's a lot of points. Alright, because I want this one right here. I definitely want this one right here. For my startup. For my startup right now, for my big store doesn't have an intro on it. You can change your intro. And when your game comes on, it goes, change whatever you want to change it to. But anyway. I don't know. I don't even know what the future of consoles going to be at the end of the day. I really don't care to tell you the truth. I don't know. I don't even know. It's jacked up because I've been gaming for a long time. For you console gamers at the end of the day, they're going to rant at me at the end of the day and go, oh yeah, I've been gaming. Well, I should tell you the truth, since my demographic set up from 18 to 50 on here. Those of you are my age know what I'm talking about. And the other half that basically that may be ranging from 18 on up, yeah, you don't know. Because I have people I talk to, well, yeah, I remember my games back in the day was like Genesis and NES. I was back way before those systems at the end of the day. Yeah, because when Atari came out, there was no NES. It didn't exist. So, yeah. So, I know console systems, man. I've been playing console systems for a very long time. I started playing console systems before I started playing PC games. So, I've been around for a very long time. To watch your console system slowly go extinct, that sucks at the end of the day. It does. And the thing about it is, you're about to go PC. You're already going PC right now on your systems right now. You're going PC. But now we know if they're giving the exclusive systems to PC, why would I leave this rig that I can custom build anywhere I want and come over to a console system? It's pointless. It is pointless. That's like leaving your Bugatti to come over because they offer you a cup holder and a Kia. Nothing wrong with a Kia. They're beautiful cars. Don't get me wrong. Don't say I'm talking bad about it. It's a nice car. But look at the comparison between a Kia and a Bugatti. It's a huge, massive difference. So imagine that they offer you a cup holder. You know, a different cup holder, like a different color, right? Come over here. We got this beautiful cup holder. You know what I mean? You're going to leave a machine of that kind of power for a cup holder? Like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to stay over here. Besides, I already have your cup holder over here. I have it in a different color. No need to go over there. So you're going to offer me a blue cup holder and a machine that already has your games in it. Imagine, metaphor. The cup holder is your exclusive games. The Bugatti has a blue cup holder. It's your blue cup holder. But now you're offering them to step out of Bugatti, nothing wrong with a Kia, there's different machines at the end of the day, to a Kia that basically has a blue cup holder. The same one that's sitting in the Bugatti. Why in the world would I even go over here to begin with? There you go. That's what that's what they told, I guess, PS owners. It's to draw more PC gamers to console. No, that's not going to work at all, period. It's just not going to work. You're not going to, every PC gamer will tell you at the end of the day, there's no way I'm going to leave my rig for a console system. I'm not doing it. Most people have both. We have both. You know why? Because we can't get your games over on PC. Like, okay, so if I'm doing Gears of War at the end of the day, I love Gears of War, I like playing the game. It's not on PC. Guess what that means? That means I have to buy a console system too. But the main system when I play on, majority would be PC. It's a much more powerful system. That's what I'm going to be playing on. But I'm still going to have your console system, so I have both. Some people don't even play console, period. I don't think they're pointless whatsoever. So with that being said, yeah, I'm still going to go back. Majority of games that I buy that are going to be, and I heard people say this all the time, if a game comes out and it's on PC, I'm buying it on PC. Some people will buy the game on console, and when it comes out on PC, they'll buy it again on PC. You know why? Because they can modify it. That's why. They can change everything on it. And then it's going to look way better than what it's going to look on the console. So they have two copies of it. One on console, one on PC. But now, since the way they're doing it now, your games, just as soon as they come out on your console system, they transfer to the PC. Sometimes PC will get a game before console will get it. If you're a developer at the end of the day, or say you're a painter at the end of the day, you get a canvas about the size of my table right here. Let's just say my door over there. So you get a piece of canvas that big, right? That's all you get, right? But you're a developer, a painter too, and you get one that's big enough to wrap around this entire room. You have more to paint and design and add your imagination to this entire larger piece of canvas than you have to that door over there. So if they start building games for PC, again, since your exclusives are going to be over on PC anyway, and they start making those games over here, they got more room to work with, better parts to work with. So they can make more advanced. They have no freaking, well, you can't do this and you can't do that because you don't have enough. Yeah, they got plenty of room to play. So there's a good chance that majority of your games, now they're being ported over here, are going to be designed for us first before they make your system. You'll get it last. We'll get it first. It's the same theory of Neo Geo and Genesis and NES, the port for Mortal Kombat. If you remember that, what happened in that whole situation, Mortal Kombat, the game, when it came on the Neo Geo, was an exact port from arcade. Because of course, the Neo Geo, the reason why the consoles were so huge, because they had arcade motherboards in them.
That's why they were so huge. That's why you can go in there, you can take out your memory card like a credit card, and you can slide into a slot. If you find one of them old, I told you for old Neo Geo machines that had the coin slot, you look up, you see a little credit card slot. That's so you can take your memory card from your console system and put it into the Neo Geo, and you can play right from there and save it and take it home. Because it has the actual motherboard in there. That's why if you ever run across a freaking Neo Geo, you find the Neo Geo, you can literally take that with some modifications and make your own cabinets. But anyway, that's what people do it with their systems went under. Long story short, at the end of the day, the port. So the port of Mortal Kombat looked completely different on the Neo Geo. The shadows that they had for the 16-bit systems were more rounded. But the ones that they had on for the Neo Geo looked exactly like the shadow that would come off a man at the end of the day. It was an exact identical port with a little bit more than the arcade. That's why the Genesis ports look nothing, or the NES ports look nothing like arcade. It was the Neo Geo that had that kind of power to do it. If you look at the port that was on ports from what was it called? Panasonic 3DO, they look better. Even Philips CDI, which didn't do a lot of games, or did some games, were better. But the Neo Geo is an exact identical port. So like really having an arcade at home, it was just very expensive to own one. So again, if they were porting it over to the Neo Geo, they knew that they can add the exact duplicate of the arcade, which that was the big thing at the time. If those of you who do know at the end of the day, you know what I'm talking about. The arcade was what every game was actually resembling at that time. Everybody wanted to have arcade-worthy games. Now, arcades don't exist that much. It's different. You guys now want to compare yourself to PC. Kind of weird, isn't it? That shift in power at the end of the day. Yep. So now, games that they make now, they compare them to PC parts and PCs. But back then, it was compared to arcade ports. So the Neo Geo ports are exactly like the arcade because it was an arcade system. It was a console version of it. So if you got the Mortal Kombat, and I got the Mortal Kombat for Genesis, I was like, what the freak? My friend had a Neo Geo, and I was like, I don't even look the same. Like, there's so much stuff missing from it, it was not even funny. Yeah, because you're dealing with a 16-bit system, where the other one has like something like 300, 400, 500, 800 bits sitting in it. Yeah, it's a whole different type of cartridge. That cartridge was the size of a VCR tape. It was huge. The Neo Geo. But anyway, I am going to get a Steam Deck. There is no point in me buying a Xbox handheld system. What are the platforms the Xbox games land on? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Xbox console game Series X. Can be played on Windows PC, which I have right now. Apps are through Xbox Play, anywhere, through Xbox Cloud, gaming beta, on various devices like mobile phones, tablets. Yeah, even you freaking hit even MetaQuest, which is actually the VR is for Facebook. But as for portables, it's on phones and tablets. So if I got a tablet, why in the world the heck would I buy a console, a handheld system, if I can play on a tablet? Especially if I already own one already. Anyway, neither here nor there. We got off topic there, but I do enjoy talking about games. I really do. And the naysayers that come to my channel thinking they know what they know, but they don't know what they know. While I was in there, I was looking this up. This was my topic, but we'll come back to this. And the topic is going to be, do gray screens really see black contrast levels? This is going to ruffle some feathers. It's definitely going to ruffle some feathers. I know, I looked at AI, I looked it up for you. At the end of the day, it doesn't do it. I don't even know why we're having this conversation with you about this. It doesn't see black at all. I know you think you're seeing it, but you're not really seeing it. I don't care what your projector has at the end of the day. It just costs you more money to do gray. So, we're going to do our next topic. I got something right here. I'm asking AI overview. And it's the dumbest question in the world, I swear. It's the dumbest question in the freaking world to be asking it of AI at the end of the day. to gray screens. We've got to take a color test for people that are blind at the end of the day who don't know the difference between the two. Question, what do you see when you see this? What do you see? This is black, this is gray. Do they look the same? 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 That's the next topic we're going to talk about. It's going to ruffle some feathers. So you out there and make these great screen paints at the end of the day, this is definitely going to put your panties in a bunch, so to speak. Not saying you wear them, just going to put them in a bunch. Or your boxers or whatever the heck you wear, I don't care. But anyway, it's going to put them in a bunch. And make some people very, very angry because they want you to believe at the end of the day that your screen see a 100% black. I'm sorry. It's so hilarious. I can't believe people are like this. These are fake, by the way, but I like to wear glasses from time to time. Get these checked. Get them checked. Get them checked. As fast as I know glasses are dirty. I don't even wear these things, but get them checked. Get them checked. All right? I don't wear glasses. I got freaking 20/20. Wish I could wear glasses at the end of the day. They look so cool. I like them. I really do. That's why I have those. I wear glasses from time to time. I like to wear my glasses. People in my family, majority wear glasses. Like, I'm the only one that didn't get it. No glasses at all, period. Freaking 20/20. I can read the screen literally from here with no problem. Yeah, I wanted glasses. They get mad at me like, what you want glasses for? You're lucky you got 20/20. I was like, no, man, I want glasses, man. You know, I think of all these cool styles and stuff with them and all that. I know they have some headaches with them and all the other day, but still, they're so freaking cool. I want to wear glasses so badly. I do. Whatever. Anyway, I do like them. I do like glasses. And they got so many pair. Oh my goodness, man. My sister has dozens of glasses for styles and stuff. She got these new ones, these Versace's. Oh, they're gorgeous. They're freaking gorgeous, yeah. So I get them, and mine basically don't have any whatchamacallit. I paid $75 for these joints right here. I forgot their name brand too. Their name brand. I don't know if you see the name or not on them, but they're the name brands right there. I paid $75 for these. And I wear, they're not prescription. And anyway, they're not prescription, but I got them because I like to wear glasses, but I can't wear them. Usually I mostly wear these. These ones I wear because I'm on the PC all the time. And the lights in here, since I'm under the UFO. Oh, as we're going to call it for now, we're going to call it overtops the UFOs. The UFOs, it's got it right here. So let's get on here. We're going to talk about this next topic, which is going to be the great screen, which is going to ruffle some feathers at the end of the day. Some feathers are going to get ruffled. Where's my chicken? I used to have one of those chickens to make those weird noises. I can't do that here in the office. I got to get me a set up for podcasts or something like that so we can have some fun in here. All right. You can bring a crew in there with me to do the whole podcast with me and talk about this whole gray screen topic. The denial of the gray. Oh, I like that. I'll be back.